guys, welcome to my new YouTube channel. Today, you're going to join me in story time.
What story are we reading today, Miss Austen?
Today we're reading The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg.
Okay.
Let's read.
Okay.
The Polar Express by Chris Van Allsburg.
Okay, show everybody the picture. Okay. All right, next.
All right. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I laid quietly in my bed. I did not mess up the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear before. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no such thing as Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds. Not the ringing bells of Santa's sleigh, though. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a steam train standing perfectly still in front of my house.
Okay, close up on the... Okay, wait, I'll put it back. Okay. All right.
It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the train cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and bathrobe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. "All aboard," the conductor cried out. I ran up to him. "Well," he said, "are you coming?" "Where?" I asked. "Why, to the North Pole, of course," was his answer. "This is the Polar Express." I took his outstretched hand, and he pulled me aboard. This is the Polar Express. Ugh. The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns, related to Christmas sleepwear. We sang Christmas carols and Christmas favorites, and ate some candies with some nougat centers as white as snow. We also drank some hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. "Oh, we got it, hot, hot, hey, we got it, hot, hot, say, we got it, hot cocoa. Here we only have one rule, never, ever, ever let it cool. Here we only got one rule, soon you got hot cocoa." Soon, there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. Reminds me of Great Wolf Lodge in Grapevine, Texas, even though that place is very big and expensive. We climbed mountains so high it seemed as if we would scrape the moon, but the Polar Express didn't slow down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. Seems to be a winter scene. The mountains turned to hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. "There," said the train conductor, "is the North Pole." Not the movie Frozen. but I wish I was like Anna and Elsa and Kristoff and Olaf. The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we didn't see any elves. They are gathering at the center of the city, the train conductor told us. That's where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift? We all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. Look, shouted one of the children, the elves! Outside, we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl, so crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped and the conductor let us outside. Whoops.
Oh, we
Sorry
forgot to
about
show
that.
that picture. Okay, turn around. Okay, next page.
You'll know when it's time to turn the page. You'll know when it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this. Ring! We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer seemed very excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and pointed to me, said, let's have this fellow here. He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, now what would you like for Christmas?
Oh, okay.
Ugh. I knew that I could have any gift I could imagine, but the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside of Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from a reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood, holding the bell high above him, and called out, the first gift of Christmas! A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeer's names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky.
Cool.
As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing I felt was a big hole. I had misplaced the silver bell from Santa's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and began moving. We were on our way home.
Oh, goodness.
Now that's a bummer. It broke my heart to misplace the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. "What?" I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Merry Christmas!" he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our Christmas presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. "Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Repair that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. Claus." Or Mr. C for Claus. Mr. Claus. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mom said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father. "It's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. Oh, I forgot to show the previous page.
Okay.
Sorry about that. But don't worry.
Okay. All right. Is that the last page?
At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me as it does for all who truly believe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
See you next time.